1997 Honda DelSol, super nice. This has the B16 from the factory. We're gonna go ahead and put it on the dyno, and then we can get a baseline run. So this car is going to get a full turbo kit and supporting mods. Well, he has purchased some parts we're going to be putting on, but to do it in the correct order so we can keep things moving, build the turbo kit, build the pipe in, and then send the pipe in off to get powder coated. That way that can be powder coated while we do the rest of the upgrades. So it's going to get a new time belt, water pump, and maintenance items. So we're going to build the kit to fit a B18C in case he changes the bottom end. We've got different chems we're going to put in it, springs and retainers, make a little bit more power on the B16, plus if he goes to GSR or a B18C or 2-liter bottom end, it'll make more power too. Gates, timing belt, water pump. As you know, you can't get this stuff from Honda anymore, it's been discontinued. This is good stuff. Gates often make Honda stuff. We've used this in the past, good quality. So water pump, timing belt, and it includes the tensioner. Good thing to do. JDI parts right here. I believe this is the main relay conversion. You guys have seen our videos talk about this. This takes that proprietary Honda relay and converts it into just a regular relay. That way it's cheap to replace if it does go bad. Plus you can get this from any parts store. If you're in the middle of nowhere, let's say you're going to the Dragon meet in October, if it breaks, you can go to the parts store up there and they'll probably have it. Hard race parts, looks like trailing arm bushings. He's got a pair of those. So we are doing chems. So to work well with the chems, the Alpha springs and retainers, these are good up to the Tuner 3 series, I believe. But on this car, we're doing Tuner 1s. Nice thing about these chems is they are close to the Type R specs. So they're more aggressive than the B16, but past experience, we've had good luck with Stage 1 and Stage 2 Tuner series. They're not noisy, they don't have valve train wear, you don't have any issues with them, you don't have a choppy idle, you don't have a really funny VTEC changeover on low compression motors. So Stage 1's perfect chems, especially for boost. FX300 clutch, he's doing the lightweight flywheel. This is by Competition Clutch. This is close to the Type R weight, I believe it's 12 pounds. On a B series, you don't want to go much lighter than that. It does make the car a little finicky, it makes the idle a little bit choppy, and it sometimes helps promote clutch chatter and hard to control the idle and such. Headlights, he wants the headlights changing. We'll put those in when we get the bumper off. So now we got our radiator, condenser, and header out. You can see how much room we have here. So what we're going to do is an upgraded radiator right here with a small pull fan. Then we're going to mount the condenser. The way these work is the condenser fan is the mounting brackets for this. This is actually mounted to it, and then it attaches down here. Then we're going to put a push fan on this side, so it'll take up most of this room. It'll fit in just behind that AC line. It's going to fit behind here. It's a small, low profile 10-inch push fan, so it will fit there. It'll give us so much more room here. The turbine housing, downpipe and such, it's not going to cook our fan. If we put a fan here, it won't last long. It's just past experience. So we're going to go ahead and put the turbo in it, look at it for room, hang the downpipe, look around, start building our intercooler pipe in, and mount the intercooler. So we ordered this radiator and it has the right outlet for the B16, but this thing is so thick. I don't like it. I mean, it'll work, but it's going to take up a lot of room. We're going to put a slimline fan on there. This is like 2.5 inches thick. I just don't like it. I'm not going to use it. I know it'll work. I know most people are not going to know the difference, and it's a radiator. It's just that classic eBay look, and it just looks awful. We're not going to use it. The Inline Pro manifold, it's still just my favorite. It just not only fits, it's a nice finish, it makes power. Something that nobody really talks about is you can actually get to the bolts. Often you buy a manifold and it looks terrific, well the bolt is rubbing the tube here, you can't get a wrench around it. This you can fit a socket or a closed-end wrench, even the center bolt. So this is bolted in position. You can see we have nice room around our turbo. We have just enough room for a coupler here. The B18C block actually has a bit more room than that, so we're going to end up shaving just that little piece off to get us some more room. Next, I'm going to put the downpipe on, and again, we built the downpipe for a B18C block, so it's going to have a bit more room on the B16, but in the event changing the block, it's going to fit without an issue.
Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Too many things going on, I can't keep track of them all. From people dropping a bomb to people putting up walls. I feel like life is on hold, perception stuck in a vault. I know that time can heal all, but how much time till we fall? It's awfully chilly outside, when there's no shelter to hide. When everything is a lie, you'll find that out in some time. But when the things on your mind are all considered a crime, communication aside, we'll all just fight till we die. Is this an argument, or just the start of it? Either way, I don't wanna be a part of it. Can I just get some space?
Check the hoses while you have the time. Everything else back here looks good. The radiator hoses, if you listen, they're a little creaky. So we've got two new hoses going upper and lower, and valve cover gasket. The valve cover can go on. This is the oil line, which is the feed. These are the braided lines that have the fittings that we showed you earlier go into 5/16 water lines, and they're tucking back here so we're not going to run into our intake tube. We've got the new radiator, the spall fan here. Spall fan on the outside is a pusher. We've got our heat reflective material right here. We've got plenty of room between this wastegate tube. This only gets hot under full boost, by the way. It cools off pretty quickly. We need a line for this. This is the wastegate. It's going to come around here. We'll probably attach it here. We need to keep it away from this heat. We might do braided on that also. Bring that around. That's going to tap into a vacuum boost sauce. Also, the bluff valve, which is here, needs a vacuum boost sauce too. So we'll probably be able to tee into this line right here, this 5/16. The wastegate and bluff valve is 1/4 inch, which is this size right here. So we have a 1/4 inch T. And the outlet for the manifold is 5/16. So what I'm going to do is use, I couldn't get a 5/16 to dual 1/4. So what I'm going to do is cut this down, lay that down, slide that on there, and solder it together. So we basically have the right setup that we need. So we have our spall pusher fan mounted on this side. It's a 10 inch. I'll give you the part number, but as you see how well it fits, you see the condenser is loose. The factory fan is the bracket. This all ties together. The condenser attaches to it with the two rubber drop-ins, and then the bolts right here, and then this is the mounting points. So clever little thing to do so it still looks clean is to basically cut these tabs here and keep the shroud. That way when you look down, it kind of looks normal, it looks clean, and this, if anything, will channel the air through the condenser. So this is our mock-up motor, so I best explain why we're cutting this fan, because someone's going to say, hey, if it fits, why not use it? Imagine this is going to be about here on our Civic. This part of the motor is going to be really close to the exhaust housing and downpipe of the turbo, and not immediately, but over time it will cook that motor. Just the excessive heat from the turbo will cook it, and then the motor will fail, and then you end up going through 2 or 3 fans trying to eventually get air conditioning back. Starbucks gift cards, thank you so much. This is from Eric. He just came to visit. His build is next year, but he was kind of in the area, well, not really, 300 miles away, and he wanted to come by and meet us, and we just sit and chit chat. And it's so nice to meet the people that watch our videos that get it, because we're not a YouTube channel where we find cars to build to do crazy content. We just basically film what we're doing, and these are typically customers' cars. We're building them to their specs and putting some of our own twists on there, and we put our own passion in it, which is what it's all about. That's the LHT TLC. It's not just about bringing cars in that make the most profit, because some of these builds take a lot longer than expected. There's not as much profit in them, but the fulfillment you get from building something like this is so much more than doing 3 clutches in a day and making a lot of money and hating doing that repetitive motion. This is like fresh work every day. That's what's so cool about it. .280 horsepower at 11.2 pounds of boost, and the boost comes on pretty fast. It made full boost by about 5,500. So pointing out here, we didn't want to cut the bumper any more than we had to, and these cutouts here usually are completely eliminated when you do an intercooler because the piping sits there. So we positioned the intercooler so the piping would fit right under that scoop. So something else I want to point out, we did wrap both AC lines here to keep the heat off here, so prevent the boost line from getting cooked. This is actually a custom aluminum line that's welded directly to the fitting, and it goes to a rubber line back here. So again, this is all based on longevity. We did a new Be-Cool radiator with the 12-inch spall fan. Doesn't have any issues keeping temperature. We have the fans to kick on at 197. It does a good job at holding that temperature. So red valve cover, carbon spark plug cover. He wanted the white intercooler pipes, and I think this looks nice and clean. It's what I would call an OEM Plus build right here. There is some more power to be found, either more boost, E85, or even a 1.8 bottom end. There's quite a bit of power to be found, but this should feel a whole lot better. It makes about double the power of when it came in. So this one's done. We'll take it off the dyno, check the drivability, go over it one more time, and this one is ready to go.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life. I never miss, that's fact, taking big swings, put your hand to the bat, put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag, cause I sing what I mean and I bring it to the mad light.